Hello and welcome to Etude number 9, the final part, number 3. This is all part of the Villa-Lobos 12 and 12 challenge, and we're going to dive straight in with the main points. Firstly, this section is now all about those fantastic ornamental slurs that Villa-Lobos has put in. I want you to consider not thinking of them as arpeggios. On the page they are written as arpeggios, and it is easier to execute when you think about them as rolled chords. Don't go P-I-M-A or P-I-M, roll the chord and you will get closer to the ornamental action and sound that Villa-Lobos is aiming for in this study. So that is the main point. Point number 2, there are bass lines in this section as well. Villa-Lobos increased the technical difficulty here. And so it is still a rolled chord, except it's a rolled chord from an I finger. So practice it P-I-M and then I-M-A to get that action. But the intervals between the melody, fretted, and the bass note are important, and they are the main focus. The melody is being supported underneath by the bass note. Number 3, if you're finding it difficult with the bass notes, take the bass notes out and practice with the correct right hand fingers, and then put the slurs in, and then put the bass note back in as well. Lessen the technical challenge and then build it back up. Smaller chunks into bigger chunks into a bar, and that is how you will approach this section and get it really tight. There's no getting away from it. Once you get into the diminished chord shape, this one here, it's nice and easy down here, but up here it is an absolute nightmare. You are going to have to twist your arm, or chicken wing it as I like to say, and really make sure that your little finger is below your third finger and in line. It's a tough section to get going, but it is possible. It just takes a little bit of time and effort with the correct technique. Last thing, I am not going through the entire second section here because the second section is just a harmonic repeat of the first section with slurs. I'm going to highlight 4 different ideas out of the second section that are challenging and that will help you get to the rest of this piece. Let's dive in and check out those ornaments. Alright, quickly, how to practice for the slurs. So the slurs are not, do not think of them as that. You want to do a roll chord with the slur afterwards. That is the effect Villa-Lobos is after in this section. To practice that, open strings first, just practice the rolls. So that is the roll without slurs or bass, and then practice the fingering for when you would put the bass in. So bass would be I-M-A. And then switch between P-I-M, I-M-A. Once you feel that you've got that, stick the bass note back in, so you go P-I-M, and then it would be P-I-M-A. And then again check against the first one, the rolled one, the easy one. Trying to get those 2 notes clear. Once you think you have that, then stick the slur back in. And try and keep a very close ear out so that you can even them out. That way you will find it a lot less challenging when you get to sections like this. Break it down into smaller chunks and then build it back up again. That is the best advice I could give you for this. It'll take some time if you've never done it, so have a little patience and just chip away at it every day. Right, let's dive into the first microstudy. Welcome to microstudy number 8, the rolled chords. So we've already gone through the chord shapes here in a previous video, so that is video number 1. Check out the link now. We're just going to concentrate on the rolls. So I've already gone over how to roll. but now the fingering. So it's going to be half bar at 9, 2 and 3 on, and it's a fourth finger for the first roll, it's a second finger for the next roll, third finger, and then fourth finger. The next one is second finger again, then we have third finger, third finger, first finger, second finger. The main idea here is just to get the rolls nice and clean and the slurs nice and clean and the two joined together so there's no seam. Try, and again I'm going to repeat this, I'm getting sick of hearing, try not to do this. You're not going to get close to speeding it up. Do it straight from day one, roll, hammer on. And there's no two ways about it. You can actually, you don't need to put a bar on. If like me, I'm a little cold this morning, practice getting that little finger in. And that's it to that first section. There's no real difficulty there, even when we come back up to the top. So again, you're going to have to twist your arm a little bit, get your elbow out. So at the top, it's going to be a fourth finger, third finger, second finger, and then we're into familiar chord shapes. Third, fourth, second, third. So due to the amount of repetition, it's easy to just learn the sections that you need to learn and go through and have a look at those. Let's look at the next micro-study. Initiates from where Villa-Lobos puts in the bass lines. That is bars 38, 42 to 45, which we'll see in the next micro-study, and then 47 to 50. So again, it's a roll chord or an arpeggio if you really want to, but with different fingers. So we've got a bass, we've got a melody, in that first section there, and then you add in and then we're into the arpeggio. So again, you need to break it up. If needs be, you take the bass line out and practice the left hand fingering correctly, and then put the bass line back in. There's not much to this section other than you will need to, in bars 47 to 50, you will need to dampen the bass note. Now, okay, so at this point, bar 47, we head back to the beginning and we have a bass line with the opening material. So it's going to go D, A, E, A, D. So if you haven't done this before, you're going to have to play D, rest stroke down, so that stops the D, nice. Rest stroke down again, stops the A, and then play the A, come back up to stop the E, and then play the D and come back up to stop the A. So your thumb has got to be independent for the rest of the fingers, and then you add in. I would practice it first with just the chords. And get used to just getting that action in, and then put the slurs back in once you feel comfortable. And just go through it like that, a bit at a time, and then finally piece that together. And that is micro-study number 9, which encompasses 2 sections. I have nicknamed the Slurs from Hell. There is no doubt about it, this is a tough section and is probably the most technically challenging of this piece. Obviously we've done the chord shape for that slur and you've practiced it. You then have practiced your open string patterns, and you now have to get that slur in underneath your third finger. Here at the third position, not a problem. Even here at 7, not a problem. But once we start to head up here, you need to be very careful with getting it. And depending on how high the action of your guitar is depending on how successful you're going to be. Obviously, that plays a major part in this. Once we get to the F sharp, I literally have chicken winged my arm to get that all the way out, and I'm on the tips of my fingers. My fingers are no longer at that angle, they're at that angle, so my thumb is really low on the bottom of the neck. And again, this is going to take a lot of trial and error, as you can hear. My notes are not 100% clear because of the funny position. So what I suggest for this section is literally play the chord and do the slur as 1. Get used to changing positions and angles. And then get used to trying to hammer in at the top there. It is possible, it's just a little bit uncomfortable for the left hand. Please take it easy, do not play through any pain. That is the best tip I can give you here. Be as relaxed as possible. You practice this section relaxed, when you put the piece together you will be relaxed. However, practice it with tension. When you come to perform it, that is what you're going to get. You're going to get tension and it's going to go a little bit awry. Okay, with that all being said, what is interesting about the 1953 edition is Villa-Lobos, according to Abel Calavaro, has provided a solution to this tricky situation once you get up here. From bar 44 onwards, which is the D sharp note, Villa-Lobos has written in an extra slur. So he's got the phrasing marks underneath, and then he has an extra slur from the A sharp to the B. So Villa-Lobos seems to be saying, according to Calavaro, it's just a pull-off from the D sharp. Which does help with this situation, especially once you get up here at the top. Interestingly enough, Villa-Lobos continues to do that when the bass notes come in as well, and keeps that going. So it's still a pull-off, and that extra slur continues all the way into bar 50, where we're here at this point, before we get into the double Bs in the next micro-study. So there are two different ways of approaching that section, and bear in mind that Villa-Lobos only starts those extra from the D sharp. So up until there, he seems to think it's still possible to do that as a full hammer-on. The choice is yours. Practice both and see which works for you. Thank you very much for staying until the end. This has been part of the Villa-Lobos 12 and 12 challenge, all being hosted at classicalguitarrocks.com. There are a ton of free lessons there for the intermediate to advanced guitar students. So if you want to really improve your technique, head over there and grab yourself some free stuff. Next video should pop up just about now.